Hamas, being the terrorist group that it is, it targeted essentially non-Muslims.
Okay.
So it made this from a territorial dispute into virtually a religious war. The way things are shaping up, it is actually showing that this will be a contained conflict rather than a massive conflagration. The Americans have sent a message that actually the Iranians were also surprised, caught by surprise with the Hamas strike. It's another matter that even the Americans did not know that the strike was happening. The images will start coming out where you will see the defenseless, the children, the women, and everybody who've been hit hard by the air strikes or by the land invasion, possibly some sort of a tragedy happening over there, which is going to be played up. Now, that is going to further radicalize the entire neighborhood, and that could possibly lead to a lone wolf kind of strikes all over the world.
Israel so far has launched a series of airstrikes against Gaza. This was over the last 6 days. But a ground invasion into Gaza is imminent. The tanks have already gathered at the borders in southern Israel. Israel has already given Gaza residents a 24-hour ultimatum to evacuate or face their wrath. I have with me Hindustan Times executive editor Shishir Gupta to explain to us exactly what is happening, what is the kind of build-up that is happening at the Gaza border, and is a ground invasion going to be as easy for Israel as it may look from afar?
Thanks. So what you actually look at the map and you see is that right now the forces, the Israeli ground forces are amassed on the Gaza Strip, just across the Gaza Strip. But the question is the land invasion imminent? Now, in that, there are a lot of difficulties before the land invasion takes place. You know, there's no such thing as an imminent land invasion, considering that the Israelis have already lost some 1,300 people. They've already have some 2,500 injured. They are going to take very deliberate steps before they go into the Gaza Strip, because they do not want to lose more lives. Once they're sure that they can actually target the Hamas militants, Hamas terrorists in this area, only then they will move. Now, what is going to happen is that the land invasion is imminent, but you cannot say that it's going to happen in the next 24 hours or so. Second thing in this is that the Hamas has taken captive hostages within the Gaza Strip. That is which includes foreign nationals also, which includes babies, children, which includes a whole lot of people who are defenseless and non-combatants. Now that is again going to be a huge hurdle as to how to protect them before you start to invade. So in that, what they have done is that they have given an ultimatum that you evacuate from the North Gaza. Now, which
is where exactly would North Gaza
This is
be?
North Gaza.
Okay.
So this
so
is
they
the
want
area.
them to evacuate.
You evacuate from North Gaza and go to this area. Now the point in this is more of a threat kind of a thing, to say that, listen, since 24 hours it's impossible to evacuate 1 million citizens, so you might as well, let's talk. You give up the hostages, you decide, you let go of people free, then maybe we can talk and maybe we can do something about it. But as of now, the biggest blockade in this whole thing is the hostage situation. And that is something which Israel and the world will try and avoid where it goes down south.
Right, because so you're saying that the Israeli troops are gathered around
The Israeli
this side.
troops are all this area. They're all this area.
But they've just asked
They have asked the northern
area
till Gaza,
to
till Gaza city. This is the area they asked for vacation. But the point in this is more of a pressure tactic as to sort of tell them to listen. This is now you're facing an impossible situation. You're facing an imminent land invasion. So you might as well cough up the hostages.
So it's not that the hostages are centered here.
Not at all.
Or it's not that they are going to invade from here.
We do not know about that. We do not know about knowing Hamas, knowing the way they function, the way the militant group the terrorist group is functioning. What is going to happen is they'll be spread all over the place, all across Gaza, and they will try and have the maximum advantage to delay the land invasion, as well as sort of tell the world that, listen, this is going to be a situation where you're going to have more grief
Right.
if you invade.
Just for the benefit of our viewers, Sidroth, Kafar Aza, Berai, Reem, these are all the towns right near the border which the Hamas infiltrators had come in from Gaza and had sort of laid siege to these areas, carried away women, children, defenseless as hostages into Gaza, and now Israel is planning a ground invasion, which Shishir says right now is a threat, but can translate into reality.
It can translate into reality, but a whole lot of things are happening right now. For instance, like, what has happened is that when the Hamas struck, earlier this whole Palestine-Israel was a territorial dispute. But Hamas, being the terrorist group that it is, it targeted essentially non-Muslims.
Okay.
So it made this from a territorial dispute into virtually a religious war, where you had people like Christians targeted, Jews targeted, even poor Nepalese Hindus were targeted. You have defenseless people, non-combatants, babies, infants, teenagers, everybody was singled out and targeted. And that is why this has actually translated to a situation where Israel under no circumstance can give it up.
They cannot let this pass.
They cannot let this pass.
They cannot
this is
let
an
this.
unacceptable monstrosity that has happened, and they cannot let it pass.
I'm going to ask my editors to pull up the other map, which you now see on your screen. Now, this map tells you exactly, this is the Gaza Strip, that's Israel, and look how it's surrounded at all sides. It's not easy being Israel in the Middle East right now, or ever. Actually, it's never been easy for Israel being what it is in the middle in the Middle East and surrounded by all these nations, most of them hostile. But is the situation, because of the situation right now between Israel and Palestine, do you believe a larger conflagration is possible, Shishir?
You see, I can't predict a black swan event in this one, but what I can tell you is the way things are shaping up, it is actually showing that this will be a contained conflict rather than a massive conflagration. And why do I say this? I say this because what has happened is that the US has placed the biggest aircraft carrier, USS Gerald Ford over here, which is right in East Mediterranean. The other thing that US has done is Hamas has supporters in Qatar, in Iran, and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Right.
And in Syria. Now, what has done is the Americans have sent a message that actually the Iranians were also surprised, caught by surprise with the Hamas strike. It's another matter that even the Americans did not know that the strike was happening.
Right.
But to give a sort of a clean chit to Iran is essentially to contain the conflagration.
Okay.
Similarly, if you look at Israel has attacked Damascus airport, it has attacked Aleppo airport. Israel has fired warning shots at Lebanon, artillery strike at Lebanon. So if you look at that, so essentially what is happening is Israel has told everybody that, listen, you back off now. I am dealing with Hamas in Gaza Strip, and that is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to actually eradicate the Hamas terrorism from the Gaza Strip.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be possible? Because Hamas also has a lot of supporters within Gaza. Maybe you kill 10 of them. Maybe 10 of them will rise again.
You see, what is going to translate after this is that if there is not going to be a massive conflagration, what is going to happen is that you will see images of Israeli strikes in Gaza coming out. A typical play that has been happening over the decades, where the images will start coming out, where you will see the defenseless, the children, the women, and everybody who have been hit hard by the air strikes or by the land invasion, possibly some sort of a tragedy happening over there, which is going to be played up. Okay. Now, that is going to further radicalize the entire neighborhood, and that could possibly lead to a lone wolf kind of strikes all over the world, any place.
Oh my God, this is
Okay, so
yeah.
what I'm saying is, why I say all this is because if you look at it, in 1967 there was a 6-day war which Israel fought with its neighbors and won the war. But that translated into the 1972 Munich massacre. So what is going to happen is that somebody or the other will feel that he has nothing to gain out of this world and decide to go after the Israelis. But this time, it is not going to be a one-way street for Hamas terrorists. This time, this possibility could also be there, where a Jew who's lost his baby, who's lost his wife, who's lost his daughter, son, may just decide to pick up a weapon one day and start shooting.
That's a very, very, very dark picture you're painting. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. But I just want to talk to you about the USS Gerald, which you pointed out, the aircraft carrier that the US has sent, which is in the Mediterranean right now. How is it a message to Iran, do you think? What is the kind of message that is sending to Iran?
You see, this Gerald Ford is the biggest aircraft carrier that the world has seen. It has a full strike force over there. You have destroyers, you have some nuclear submarines, you have everything. You have not less than some 700 aircrafts on board Gerald Ford. Now, this is not only a message to Iran, this is a message to everybody in the neighborhood.
Back off.
Listen, if you can just back off. Let this thing be contained over here. Let this thing be handled over here by Israel. Beyond that, if anybody gets into it, then you face the wrath of this one. And everybody gets this message loud and clear. And particularly the supporters of Hamas, which essentially would be Qatar, or the biggest supporters of Hamas. You'd be seeing Syria. You would be seeing Iran, one of the biggest supporters. These are the people who fund Hamas.
And of course, the Hezbollah in Lebanon.
The Hezbollah, Iran is funding Hezbollah being a Shiite group, so they fund them. So the point in this is the American force over there, the current visit of US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, today he's going to Qatar. He's already gone to Jordan. He's already met Mahmoud Abbas, West Bank, Palestinian Authority, and now he's going to Qatar to basically tell everybody, listen, this is a terror event that has happened. This is unacceptable. So let it be, the fight be contained between the two of them, and you, Qatar, and you, Iran, do not come out to support Hamas.
All right, thank you. I hope viewers, you've got some perspective of what's happening in the Middle East. The region is boiling right now. It can blow up, but all efforts at least are being made by the US to ensure that the Middle East doesn't blow up. And that is exactly what this attack by Hamas and Israel.
It's essentially a pressure cooker right now over here. What you need to release the steam, otherwise it'll just blow up.
Right. Thank you so much, and hope that gives you some perspective on what's exactly happening in the Middle East right now. Thank you, Shishir, for your time.